Basho, the Autumn Grand Sumo Tournament. Is the man doing his Yokozuna ring entering ceremony, who's in the lead. He's got 7 straight wins. That's Musashi Maru. And behind him, Akibono, Kaio, Dejima, Tochinohana, all with 6 wins and 1 loss apiece. So at the start of day 8, we go into our first bout, and it's between Tochi Sakai, a newcomer, and Wakano Sato. Wakano Sato came into the Makuuchi division in 98, had a very bad injury in 98, broke his right ankle and dislocated his knees. That took some time out from that one, but he's back in and fighting. There's a nice win by Wakano Sato over the newcomer, Tochi Sakai there, 158 kilos from the Kasugano stable, and this is his first Makuuchi Basho. So he just come up from the Juryo division. Wakano Sato there, gaining his 6th win. Now Asanowaka from the Wakamatsu stable here, fighting Tokitsuumi. Both of these wrestlers come from stables whose stable bosses were themselves amateur champions. These both amateur champions, and their stable bosses both amateur champions. There, Asanowaka getting shoved out. Oshidashi win there by Tokitsuumi. That was the 2nd win for Tokitsuumi on this midway stage of the Basho. Now he's got to go some if he wants to get anywhere near his previous Basho result, which was 9-6. Now Otsukasa of the Irumagawa stable fights rising star Tochinohana. Otsukasa there leading with a head and drove Tochinohana back out. Tochinohana there looked slightly shocked at that fast start from Otsukasa. Otsukasa just led with a head, whacked in and hustled him out with the gut thrusts. A Yorikiri win there, and the 4th win for Otsukasa. Aminishiki, another newcomer to the top division, 120 kilos, fighting Wakanoyama. These two never fought before. Wakanoyama, much the heavier of the two, some 40 kilos heavier. And those wrestlers there, that's it. Aminishiki gets slapped down. A lot of Hataki Komi wins this Basho. And some of the sumo bosses are saying they don't like too many of these Hataki Komi wins. Ideal sumo for the sumo bosses is a hard tachi-ai. Straight out, lead with the head, whack in hard, and then from there grab the belt. And then belt sumo from then on. They don't like too much pushing sumo, slapping sumo, or sidestepping type sumo. So here, Kotonowaka on the right, the big man, fighting Tamakasuga. These two have fought 8 times previously, and Kotonowaka has won all 8 of them. Kotonowaka's stable mate, Kotonishiki, announced his retirement today. Kotonishiki, the low-ranking wrestler who won 2 tournaments. A loss really to the top division of sumo, when in fact he's now in the Juryo division, but he said he'd run out of steam, basically. That's Kotonishiki, and now was time to retire. So Kotonowaka, a little bit more lonely in this top division. Most of the stables don't have too many wrestlers in the Makuuchi division. They're pretty evenly spread, although the Sadakataki stable, from which Kotonowaka comes, is one of the more numerous stables in terms of training wrestlers. So this is a long bout, this one, and there finally Kotonowaka gets it a shove, followed by a pull down there. Looked like a Hikiotoshi win by Kotonowaka, gives him his 5th win. Tamakasuga there notching up his 4th loss. Now Takanowaka, 145 kilos, he's put on a bit of weight recently. Fighting Kaiho, who's around the same, 125. That's a hard head-banging start from these two. Kaiho, the speedier of the two, trying a little bit of judo there by the looks of it, hooking his legs round. But Kaiho lower than Takanowaka, locking in tight and trying to force Takanowaka up. Takanowaka tries the kotenagi, that's the arm throw, the arm breaking throw on Kaiho, but Kaiho weathered that one. Well, let's see what happens there. There's the arm over the top, there's the pressure on the arm, you can see on. And now who touched down first? It looked to me like Kaiho touched down first there.
腰が落ちるのと、高の若の、体が両足が上がって出るのと同時と見て取り直し。
So he's saying that both fell at the same time, so it's a torinaoshi, so that means a rematch. Looked to me like Kaiho had that one, but let's see. So Kaiho fast off the mark again, and he's got Takanowaka on the run, and that's a convincing win there from Kaiho. Fourth win now for Kaiho. He's had a bit of a run of bad luck in recent Bashos, scored 7 wins only the last 2 Bashos. Hopefully he'll do better this time round. Skillful fighter, but a bit of a emotionless fighter. Never shows, always looks a bit miserable, I think. Now Toki, very distinctive in his bright orange mawashi. Here fighting Ogirishiki, who's been plagued with injuries. Toki, the heavier of the two. Toki doing his usual hard shoving attacks to the face and the throat, and a win there by Toki. Toki, if you notice, likes to slap his mawashi in the build-up to the actual tachiai, the charge forward. Makes quite a lot of noise doing that. And now on to our next bout. Kyokuten Ho, the Oshima stable, which has many, or has had many, Mongolian wrestlers. Kyokuten Ho himself, Mongolian, against Chio Tenzan from the Kokonoe stable. These two have fought 5 times previously. Chio Tenzan's won 3 of them. Chio Tenzan in the silvery car. There's his knee goes down. That's a good example of how you can lose in sumo. Anything touches other than the soles of the feet inside the ring, and it's a loss. And there he was pushed down by Kyokuten Ho, and that was the first win for Kyokuten Ho. Kyokuten Ho not doing too well this time round. The heat here in Tokyo seems to be affecting these wrestlers a bit. Some of the bouts fairly lively, some a little bit quiet. Now Akinoshima against Kotoryu. These two have fought 6 times previously. Akinoshima's won 5 of those. Well, Akinoshima is not noted for his tachiai, quite often doesn't put his hands down even. Kind of goes 3/4 of the way down. Let's look at those hands. You can see the left hand of Akinoshima's didn't go down. He's required to do that at the start. In fact, he's even meant to put both hands down and pause briefly before charging forward. Kotoryu, that left knee's been giving him trouble. He's only got 1 win this Basho so far, and we're at the halfway stage now, day 8 of course, exactly in the middle of this 15-day tournament. And there's the Yorikiri move and the use of the stomach there, and Kotoryu tried to weather that one, but Akinoshima pushed his weight over the top of Kotoryu and squashed him down. Well, now in fact you can actually see that Kotoryu's foot went out ahead of the squash down, the Yori Taoshi, and so that was enough for Kotoryu to lose. Even the slightest touchdown outside, it can be even by the hair, loses the bout. Musayama fights an old adversary. They've had 33 head-to-heads previously. Takanonami's won 19 of them, but Takanonami's on the slippery slope down. Musayama, of course, hasn't done too well in the last few Bashos, has been injured. But no doubt he's on the comeback trail. Takanonami, tall fighter, 174 kilos. Sorry, 165 kilos. Musayama, 174. Slightly heavier. Takanonami locking on tight. And that's it. Takanonami gets it. 5th win for the tall fighter from the Futagoyama stable. And a Yori Taoshi there. A forced down and out for Takanonami. Well, Takanonami seems to be having a new lease of life. The last 3 Bashos he's had Makikoshi. That's more losses than wins. But that's his 5th win so far, so a good chance at getting Kachikoshi this time round. Tosanumi, the growler, fights Kaio, the man, with the wicked Kotenagi. That's the arm lock throw. Guaranteed almost to break arms when he does it. So, well, that was Tosanori Umi, too quick off the mark there. The Rikishi are getting a lot of stick these days from the sumo bosses about their tachiai. They've forever been instructed to do it differently. They've got to pause and they've got to come out, and none of the wrestlers like it. The sumo bosses don't seem to realise that this is the way the wrestlers want to do it. One hand down, then a quick stab at the ground with the other hand, and then into the charge, the tachiai. And there you can see, hear the sound of the bodies crashing into each other there. And that's it. Kaio gets it. A slap down win there against Tosanori Umi. And that was the 7th straight win. Not straight win, sorry, 7th win for Kaio. He's had 1 loss so far. And that was the 6th loss for Tosanori Umi. Let's watch that one again. So eventually they go into the tachiai. Kaio there trying to force down Tosanori Umi's hands. Tosanori Umi banging in with the head just under Kaio's jaw. There you see the head going in. We heard the sound of those clashes before. Kaio trying a pull down there, but eventually gets another one, and there we see it. Down goes Tosanori Umi and bites the dust. Now Dejima. Got 6 wins so far. His previous Basho he had 10. One before that 8, one before that 11. Not too good a result. Here fighting Tochi no Nada, they've had 8 previous head-to-heads. Dejima's won 7 of them. The referee shouts Hakkei-oi, and that's it. Right, a nice throw there. Dejima wraps his arm round the body of Tochi no Nada, twists him slightly and forces him down. Mixture of throws there, I think. Not quite Yorikiri. And that was Dejima's 7th win and 6th loss for Tochi no Nada. Now 2 mean machines here. Chio Takai, ex-karate fighter, who likes to smash him down, or so he says. Takato Riki, who likes to slap him down. So let's see how these two will shape up. Slowish start from Takato Riki. Normally leads with the slaps, but doesn't there. Well, that confounded all expectations. That should have been a lively fight. We would have expected Takato Riki to crack a few blows into Chio Takai's face. Chio Takai we'd expect to come out with a head-banging start, but it was pretty slowish there for the two. They're temperamental, a lot of these wrestlers. You know, if it's the weather's too hot, they worry about catching a cold, or they worry about getting heat exhaustion. And they're superstitious as well. Now, this should be a good one. Miyabayama fights Akibono. They've had 6 head-to-heads previously. Akibono's won 4, but Akibono's looking good these days. He's had a string of good results. And Miyabayama there bounces off him. Of course, Akibono, much the heavier of the two, and that's a convincing win there by the Grand Champion. Locks in tight. Miyabayama tries to wriggle a bit. Miyabayama with a 6-9 result last time. If he gets Maki Koshi this time, he'll be down from Ozeki. But 5 wins so far. Miyabayama still a chance to retain his rank by the last day of this tournament. Now Musashi Maru against newcomer Hayate Yumi. 130 kilos of Hayate Yumi against Musashi Maru's 216 kilos. That's 80 or so kilos difference, 12.5 stone difference between these two men. You see the different size of the two. Hayate Yumi at 130 kilos is not exactly small, that's about 18 stone. But there he bounces off Musashi Maru, who forces him out with a kuridashi. Kuridashi, the push from behind. So 8th win there, 8th straight win for Musashi Maru. So let's just watch that one again. Hayate Yumi comes out faster, of course he's a lighter, faster fighter. Musashi Maru there just digs in, starts to move forward, watch the feet, it's the feet moving forward, and Hayate Yumi turns, and then that's a bad position. So at the end of day 8, Masashi Maru in the lead with 8 straight wins, Dejima with 7 wins, Kaio with 7 wins, Tochinohana, Chiyo Taikai and Wakano Sato with 6 wins and 2 losses. But stay with us, we'll be back after the break. Day 9. Well, we got a clutch of wrestlers, all capable of winning this Basho. Not much difference between the two of them. Masashi Maru in the lead, 8 straight wins. And Akibono 1 step behind. And also Dejima and Kaio. We're just over the halfway stage. Plenty of time for upsets and slips, but at this stage it looks like the 2 grand champions, Akibono and Masashi Maru, are the men to watch. So at the start of day 9, we pick up the first of our Makauchi bouts, which is Tokitsumi, the Tokitsukaze stable. That's where the boss of the Sumo Association comes from, and Otsukasa from the Irumagawa stable. Good fast start there from Otsukasa, but loses the initiative there. He's allowing Tokitsumi to settle in. Both these wrestlers ex-amateur champions. There's something like 14 ex-amateur champions in this top division, 14 out of 40. So both wrestlers locked in there. And there's a nice flip down there. That was an underarm grip he had, and he turned slightly sideways, pulled down and pushed. Pull turned into a push. Shitate Dashinagi. Very neatly done, that one. Well, we know Tokitsumi is strong on the belt, and that's evidence of it. And that's the 3rd win for Tokitsumi and the 5th loss for Otsukasa. Higanoumi fights Aminishiki. Aminishiki, new one, is at Kachikoshi every Basho so far this year. The referee there says Mada, which means Mata. Both sound the same actually. Mata means wait, Mada not yet. So he's saying, we'll get that tachi-ai right. You've got to start evenly. You've got to harmonise your breathing. You've got to get your hands down at the same time. You've got to start at the same time. And that was an even start. And skidded there. Aminishiki skidded a bit, but he's got back into the fight. It looked like Higanoumi had it. After that, and there, well, that's brinkmanship for you. Aminishiki goes backwards, balances on the edge. They're allowed to touch the edge, and he just drags Higanoumi past him. Look, watch the feet there. It's like bullfighting as the bull charges past, and Aminishiki balanced on the edge. 6th win for Aminishiki, certainly doing very well. Now our next bout, Tamakasuga. It's a man noted for his tsupari attacks. That's the whirlwind slaps to the throat, neck, face of the opponent. Kyokushuzan. Currently he's got the lowest win rate in the Makuuchi division. He's had a string of bad results. 5 wins for the last 3 Bashos. Well, Kyokushuzan trying hard there. He's got 6 wins so far, so he's certainly broken his string of 5-win Bashos. And look at those slaps. Well, it's almost turning into a boxing match from Kyokushuzan. Look at that. Well, we saw a similar bout there some time ago between Chiyo Taikai and Musoyama, which got heavily criticised by the sumo men because it virtually turned into a punch-up. Well, that was a good bout there. Kyokushuzan there, cracking in those harite slaps against Tamakasuga's face, who started to look a little bit punchy there at the end of all that, and then eventually got round behind him and pushed him down. A kuritoshi win there by Kyokushuzan, and his 7th win so far, so well ahead of his last 3 Basho results. Wakanoyama fights Kaio. Kaio fast off the mark there. Started somewhat back from the white start lines, the Shikiri-sen. He's keeping it a bit open like the previous bout. Wakanoyama there kept his head down, just kept driving forward. Ignored the slaps, although you can see him just wiping his face there a bit. Tingling, no doubt, from the slaps of Kaiho. So Wakanoyama getting his 5th win. Kaiho, 5th loss. Tochinohana, otherwise known as Yachi in the sumo world, against Takanowaka. Takanowaka doesn't normally go out and train in other stables, comes from a very small stable and has been criticised for not training elsewhere. Well, just recently he has been out. His stable boss has taken him to some stables for training, but it doesn't seem to have made an awful lot of difference. Takarawaka losing there, that's his 6th loss, and Tochinohana gaining his 7th win. So let's watch that one again. So decisive start there by Tochinohana. Keeps driving forward the whole time. And Takanawaka just taken to the edge. Like a fish on the end of a line. Couldn't really do too much about it. And that was his 6th loss for Takanawaka. So previous Basho he had 6 wins and 9 losses. So he'll be sliding down the rankings, no doubt. Now, Asanowaka. Mr. Bouncy. Fighting Oginishiki. They've fought 16 times. Oginishki's won 9 of them. Oh, that's redressed that balance somewhat. Asanowaka now with 8 wins against Oginishiki. So that's evened it up somewhat. So that was a nice lively push down from Asanowaka from a very fast Tachiai start. 3rd win for Asanowaka. See the crowd, the ones nearest the ring, pay more money. This Kokugikan holds about 12,000 people. The dohyo there can actually be lowered. It's on a mechanical hoist. Now, Kotonowaka against Takatoriki. These two have had many encounters in their long careers. Both have been in Makuuchi Sumo since 1990. They fought 37 times. Takatoriki's won 20 of them. Not this time. Kotonowaka's won 17. That makes it 18. And that was the 6th win for Kotonowaka in this Akibasho. Takatoriki there acquiring his 6th loss. Both those men are married to their Oyakata's daughters, which means in due course they'll inherit the stable. And also the other idea is that sumo men married to sumo men's daughters will produce big sumo children, or eventually sumo wrestlers. Now on to this bout. Kyokuten Ho fights Kotoryu. These two have fought 6 times previously. Kotoryu's won 4 of them. Kotoryu's injured. You can see that left leg. Kyokuten Ho's only got 1 win. It's not known if he's got an injury, but the wrestlers disguise the fact if they've got an injury. They don't like to admit it. They like to keep it under wraps. Although this tournament, Musashi Maru went off to hospital because there's something wrong with him. And that's slightly unusual. He made no secret about getting a bit of treatment. Hasn't certainly affected his performance. Well, there's a win there by Kyokuten Ho. His ideal sumo, so he says, is that done by the great champion of the 60s, Taiho. In fact, Kotoryu's sumo very reminiscent of Taiho's great rival, Kashiwado. Similar clash of styles there, I think. Now Takanonami fights Chio Tenzan. Takanonami's beaten him 6 times. Chio Tenzan's never won any bout against Takanonami. Takanonami there, locking in tight. He's got his arm up there tight. He's denying Chio Tenzan's hold. You can see he can't get that right arm down. And look at that. Well, that was very neatly done there by the old Ozeki. Still touches of the old brilliance there from Takanonami. Killed off Chio Tenzan's use of the arm there. Chio Tenzan's arm was just stuck up in the air and there's nothing he could do about it. So 6th win there for Takanonami. Now Akinoshima. Well, he's lost his stablemate, Kotonishiki, who's retired. Not his stablemate, sorry, correction there. Kotonishiki, of course, was his great bugbear. He always used to lose against Kotonishiki. Could never beat him. But anyway, so that's one less person to fight. Certainly one he used to hate fighting. So Akinoshima here now, fighting Tosonoumi, noted for his hard tachiai. Tosonoumi there, only 2 wins so far, not doing too well this time round. Both wrestlers head to head, controlling each other's arms, looking for the belt, looking for a pull down, looking for a chance for a slap. Many variations on themes here at this stage, and there it is. Akinoshima just slid him sideways a bit and then slapped him down, almost from behind, not quite from behind, but of course with no cloth to grab, like as in judo, for example, it's very difficult to secure a hold, of course, on the body of the other wrestler. There's only the belt. Can't grab the hair, that's a foul. So quite easy to slide off. Although both wrestlers are meant to come into the ring dry and not sweating. And now Miyabayama against Toki. Very similar styles here, these two. Very rough and ready. Lots of attacks to the face. There's Toki, yeah, there's the face going. But Miyabayama there certainly endured those thrusts to his face. Miyabayama's had to live with a reputation that he doesn't like being slapped. It was Takatoriki some time ago who remarked when Miyabayama first came into top sumo that he had a face that didn't look as though it had ever been slapped. Somehow that stayed with him, and so everybody now comes out and tries to slap him. So Toki there getting his 6th win, Miyabayama his 4th loss. Hateyumi, lightweight wrestler, newcomer against Dejima, much heavier. Dejima leads there on the tachiai, fast hook off the mark. Hayateyumi spins him round, moment of danger there for Dejima. Dejima's slowed down, he's got to get those feet moving, he's got to drive forward. And Hayateyumi has got him on the run. Oh, that was a strange performance there from Dejima. Came out and then decided to have a holiday. Well, he was locked in tight, but his feet weren't doing anything. And Hayateyumi kept the pressure up and drove him out. So let's watch that one. See the decision there on Hayateyumi's face as he put his hands down. Tries that twirl around and almost takes Dejima over the edge. Dejima manages to survive that one, comes back to the middle and then locks on. But then Hayateyumi just starts driving him. He's got his belt lower than Dejima, you can see that. He's pushing up from below. And then eventually, that's it, he drives him over the edge. So that was a Yorikiri win for Hayateyumi and his 5th win. And 2nd loss for Dejima. Another good bout coming up next. It's Chio Taikai. The man who leads with the head, comes out like a rocket. Kaio, who's been on a roll recently. Had 11 wins, last Basho, one before that. 14-1. Which he won, of course. Kaio's got 7 wins so far. He's got a bit of an injured thumb, which he got in the summer Jungyo, the summer tour, but it doesn't seem to have affected him that much. Chio Taikai, as expected, coming out hard and fast. And there's a slap against Kaio's face, and there's a nice Kataskashi there. Well, Kaio weathered those slaps. He ignored them, didn't blink, as it were, and then just neatly locked his arms in position round Chio Taikai's arm and just spun him over with Sukuinagi. So let's watch that one again. Chio Taikai makes the going at the start, comes out hard and fast, goes for the face, shoving the face at this point, but we see a slap. Let's watch for that slap. Kaio, there's the slap, and then he also bangs in with the head as well. Kaio just shrugs that one off, and then he gets his hand on the back of Chio Taikai's head, links his arms through underneath his right arm and just spins him over. So good win there for Kaio. That's his 8th win. He's only got 1 loss so far. He's in the running for the Emperor's Cup. Now Musashi Maru against Tochino Nada. These two have fought 9 times. Musashi Maru's won 8 of them. Tochino Nada's still got this bad elbow. He's had it some time. He got it at the end of last year. Maru's got a taped up knee there, doesn't seem to be affecting him too much, almost loses it there. Chance for Tochino Nada when the big man not sidestepped that, he just kind of twirled, did it a bit slowly. If Tochino Nada was quicker off the mark, he could have come back against the grand champion, but he didn't. Musashi Maru got it, that's his 9th straight win. A missed opportunity there for Tochino Nada. Let's watch that one again. Now there's the sidestep, the pull down and the sidestep. Well, Musashi Maru in fact did recover from that well. There was quite a gap between the two of them, so it would have been difficult for Tochino Nada to come back on that one. So another win for Sashimaru. And now the remaining Yokozuna, Akibono against Musoyama. These two have fought 26 times previously in their long careers. Akibono's won most of them, 20 of them to be precise. Akibono there, locking on tight, and having got that grip, he just hustles Musoyama out and wins with Yorikiri. Well, that was a good win for Akibono. He's only got one loss, so he's a threat to Masashi Maru. Very little in it. So it seems like it's shaping up for a Yokozuna clash at the end. So at the end of day 9, we have Musashi Maru in the lead with 9 straight wins. Akibono and Kaio behind with 1 loss apiece. Then behind that, Dejima and Kyokushuzan with 2 losses apiece. And then behind them, Chiyo Taikai with 3 losses. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with days 10, 11 and 12 of this 15-day Basho, the Grand Sumo tournament from Tokyo. My name is Sid Hoare. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now, and sayonara. 11 and 12 of the 15-day autumn Grand Sumo tournament from the Kokugikan in Tokyo. My name is Sid Hoare. The Kokugikan is the headquarters of Japanese sumo. It's situated in the Ryogoku area of Tokyo. And in the small streets around it are located many of the stables, the beya or the heya. Training is done in the early morning, and it's possible to go and watch the rikushi in their workouts. But there's a strict etiquette. You have to sit quietly and not fidget around. It's always a wise precaution to ring the stable in advance, that's if you happen to be in Tokyo, just to check that they will be there. Sometimes they go out to train in other stables. It's always interesting to walk around the Ryogoku area in the late afternoon or evening, and you may run into a top wrestler clad in his kimono or yukata. It's quite a sight. They look even bigger in traditional dress. Well, at the start of day 10, Musashi Maru's in the lead with 9 straight wins, and a step behind him, Akibono and Kaio with 8 wins and 1 loss. And into our first bout, and it's between Daishi and Kaio. Daishi back into the Makuuchi division after 3 years in the Judo. He dropped out, 32 years old, coming towards the end of his time in sumo. But now back in the Makuuchi division, and fighting Kaio, much lighter of the two, some 40 kilos lighter. Kaio there, skillful wrestler, edging in sideways. He's good at fighting sideways on, is Kaio. Ex-amateur champion, of course. They all tend to be rather skillful wrestlers. Daishi there trying to drive his head backwards, and finally manages to nudge him over the edge. And that's a Shidashi win there for Daishi. It's his 3rd win in this tournament, and Kaio's 6th loss. Now we have the American fighter against Asano Waka. So it's Sento Ryu, otherwise known as Henry Armstrong Miller, on the left there. And he led with the head, and he easily got sidestepped. Now Asano Waka is noted for his changes on the tachi-ai. He's good at ducking from one side to the other, and Sento Ryu has become a bit predictable for these Makuuchi wrestlers. They're learning to dodge his charge, which is a bit predictable. Now Kyokushuzan here fights Tochinohana. Both of these wrestlers have 7 wins apiece. One of these will get the Kachikoshi. In this case it's Kyokushuzan. He gets his 8th win. That's Kachikoshi. And many of the wrestlers say that up to the point where they get that Kachikoshi, there's a lot of tension in them. But after that, they relax a bit. They know their rankings and their positions, and their money, most importantly of all, is safe. So that's a bit of relaxation now for Kyokushuzan. Wakanoyama against Otsukasa. Wakanoyama usually comes very low, fairly low there, not too low, against Otsukasa. Otsukasa, of course, is quite a short wrestler. He's 1.76 meters, not too tall, quite a lot of weight, 150 kilos, at around 5'8". So Wakanoyama winning there, that was his 6th win. His previous Basho, he had 7 wins, so he's getting close to and will probably exceed last Basho's performance. Kotonowaka against Wakano Sato. Well, Wakano Sato seems to have recovered from his knee operation he had in December. He's got a reputation in the sumo world for being extremely strong. Well, they're all strong, but he's reckoned to be stronger than most. But of course, it's only as strong as the weakest link. And will his knee hold up? Well, Kotonowaka wins that one. Looked to me a bit as if Wakano Sato was protecting his knee there. Seemed to not resist that twist over at the end. Kotonowaka gaining his 7th win. That levels him up with Wakano Sato's score, which is 7-3. So 1 win off, each of them, from the magic Kachikoshi. Now, Matanash, says the referee, the Gyoji, that means time's up. They have 4 minutes or so of all these bowings and crouch downs, and then Matanash means get ready. And that was a nice win there by Takanowaka. Bore right down on Aminishiki. Both of these are fairly new to this top division. Aminishiki, only 21, youngest wrestler in the Makuuchi division. Comes from the same fishing port as Kaiho, in fact. Let's watch that one again. It's quite lively. Lots of slaps and pushes to the head. Neither looking for the belt at this point, but trying to control the other's arms under the armpit there. And they're right on the end. Now that was a rare attempt at a throw there. Aminishiki trying the uchari, but his back couldn't support the weight and he crashed down. Uchari, of course, is the technique. You don't see it so often now, where one wrestler has been pushed right to the edge and he lifts up his opponent and spins backwards, flips him over his shoulder and then turns, makes sure that his opponent lands before he does. So, Oginishiki against Chio Tenzan. Oginishiki in the green mawashi, Chio Tenzan in the silvery grey one. Now, attempt there by Chio Tenzan. Well, that was close. One of the judges has objected. The Gyoji gave it to Chio Tenzan. Let's have a look at that. Well, impossible to call, I suspect. So dotai, that's the magic word. That means the bodies fell down at the same time. So it's a torinoshi. A mark against the ref. He's meant to call it right each time. So came in low there, Oginishiki. Then he's locked in a bit round behind, and Chio Tenzan was trying some throws there. But that position round to the rear, extremely difficult to fight against. Almost powerless in that position. Oginishiki gains, finally, his first win. Been doing pretty badly so far, but on day 10, he gets his first win. Kyokuten Ho, the Mongolian. Both of these have got 2 wins and 7 losses, so one of these will notch up a loss, and that will be Makikoshi. And in this case, it's Kyokuten Ho who gets that 8th loss. And his Makikoshi, that means more losses than wins. His Maigashira 3, so there's a few more bouts yet to go, but he'll be sliding down the ranks a bit, but he's safe enough as far as the Makuuchi division is concerned. Takanonami, the man who was Ozeki in 32 consecutive Bashos up to the middle of last year when he started to fade a bit. Here fighting Kotoryu. These two have fought 5 times previously, and Takanonami's won 5 of them. But Takanonami is looking good this Basho. That's his trademark there. One of them, he hooked his leg round the back, the Sotogake. Couldn't make it work, but then he followed it up with just a straight lift up using his height. It's about 6'6", 6'5" tall, 1m97. And that was Takanonami's 7th win, and that equals his score in the previous Basho. But he's got 5 more bouts to go. Kaio there, sitting down on his cushion at the side of the ring. And as the day wears on, we go up the ranks. Now it's Sekiwaki ranked Musoyama. He needs 10 wins to go back up to Ozeki. He's got 5 so far, so he virtually needs to win all his bouts from now on. He's starting way back from the start line against Akinoshima, and keeps Akinoshima on the move there, whacks in hard, and Akinoshima barely recovered from that. His balance was disturbed, and it stayed disturbed from the slam, the Atari, and that was 6th win for Musoyama. If Akinoshima gets Makikoshi, that was his 6th loss then, he'll drop down from his Komusubi rank. He'll go back down into the Maegashira ranks. So Musoyama had him on the run there, almost from the word go, and finished him off with that push, that one-arm push at the end. Now this next match should be a corker. Chiyo Taikai, the Ozeki, against Miyabiyama, the even newer Ozeki. 2 young ones. Chiyo Taikai, 24 years old, Miyabiyama, 23 years old. Both Miyabiyama some 17 kilos heavier than Chiyo Taikai. Well, that was a quick one there. Chiyo Taikai just sidestepped him and flattened him with a slap down. Well, the audience not too happy about that one. They do like their top sumo men to whack into each other. They like to hear the crack of bodies against body. So they were disappointed there. Still, Chiyo Taikai, no doubt, thinking to himself, that's one more win for me. Now Kaio, the man who previously had 6 chances for promotion Ozeki, finally made it. Here fighting Tochino Nada. Both men around the 170 kilo mark. That's just under 27 stone. And Kaio's 28. Been around a bit. Previous Basho had 11 wins. Certainly been doing a lot better since he got married to ex-pro wrestling champion, female pro wrestling champion. So Kaio certainly looking stronger in recent Bashos. Locked in tight there. Because once people used to say of him that there was a weak Kaio and a strong Kaio, and Kaio there getting flipped over with that underarm grip of Tochino Nada's. Slightly unusual there. Mostly they go over to the overarm throw, but in this case Tochino Nada was holding under his grip, not quite the leverage in that position, and flipped him over. So that was the 3rd win for Tochino Nada, and 2nd loss for Kaio. So he really needed to keep that one if he wanted to stay in the race for the Emperor's Cup. Still not impossible, but at this stage of the tournament, needs all the wins he can get. So Kaio, I think, maybe slightly complacent there. I think he felt he had the measure of Tochino Nada. In their last 6 encounters, he's won them. And there he gets spun over. Can you imagine the weight of these wrestlers and the skill required to flip them over like that? Requires a lot of strength and feel for the weight and the balance of the opposing Rikishi. Dejima against Toki. Toki, of course, will come out straight-armed. This is his normal tactic. To the face. Dejima will also come out head low and charge straight at him, and the head's cracked there. Now Toki trying to slap to the face, but Dejima closed him down a bit there. Toki got in a few slaps. You can see there, Dejima checking his teeth, I guess. But Dejima just kept a little bit too close to Toki to enable him to get some real distance and some power into those slaps. So Dejima there, taking his 8th win, which is Kachikoshi. And that was the 5th loss for Toki. Now we have Akibono against the man they're now calling the Musashigawa Killer. He's beaten almost all the best of the Musashigawa Rikishi. He's a mere 130 kilos. He's fighting Akibono, who's 106 kilos heavier than he is. That's 16 stone heavier than him. Incredible weight difference here. Akebono 236 kilos, Hayate Yumi 130 kilos. Hayate Yumi in his 5th Makuuchi Basho. So let's see what the grand champion will make of this newcomer. Pretty short work, as we've seen. 2 long arms of Akebono reached out and prodded Hayate Yumi backwards and over the edge of the dohyo. So Oshidashi win there for Akebono. That's him now at 9 wins and 1 loss. Apart from that loss on the first day against Akinoshima, he's won in a straight row. And now onto the remaining Yokozuna. Of course, Takanohana is sitting this Basho out due to a torn bicep. Now we have Musashimaru against Takato Riki. Takato Riki loves fighting the Gaijin Rikishi, the foreign Rikishi. He burns when he does this, especially against Akebono. But their win-loss record is not so impressive. They fought 44 times. Well, full start there. They fought 44 times. And surprise, surprise, Musashimaru's won 36 of them. So it's not about you'd put money on, but let's have a look. Well, that seemed to be a better start, but Takato Riki bouncing off the big Yokozuna. And that's the 10th straight win for Musashimaru. Takato Riki at 7 losses. Only 3 wins so far in this tournament. So at the end of day 10, it's Musashimaru, the grand champion, Yokozuna, with 10 straight wins. Immediately behind is Akebono with 9 wins and 1 loss. And then 3 wrestlers, Dejima, Kaio, Kyokushuzan, with 8 wins and 2 losses. So stay with us. We'll be back very shortly after the break for more sumo. 11 of the Akibasho, the autumn Grand Sumo tournament. Musashimaru's in the lead with 10 straight wins. Akebono 1 loss, 1 step behind, and a clutch of wrestlers fairly close. There are 5 more bouts to go. That's a possibility of 5 losses for whoever happens to be in the lead. So it's still possible for a number of wrestlers, or one of a number of wrestlers, to come through and win the Emperor's Cup. Let's look at our first bout of day 11. It's between Wakano Sato, who's come back up from the Juryo division after a knee operation in December. Here fighting Aminishiki, who's distinctly on the smaller side. And there, as Wakano Sato locked in round his body, he was just brushed aside and over the edge. Too light, really, especially against a very strong Tachiai from a heavier wrestler. So let's look at that. Aminishiki not really in that, struggling. You can just see the power of Wakano Sato overwhelmed him. Should have stayed away from the belt, kept it open and tried to sidestep the bigger wrestler, but he closed in, and that was the result. Now Asanowaka. Well, the crowd certainly do love him. And here fighting Higonumi. They've fought 19 times over the years. Asanowaka's won 12 of them. See if Higonumi can do anything about that. Well, he's got Asanowaka on the brink there, and that's it. 7th win for Higonumi, and he's redressed the balance in their personal head-to-heads. And Asanowaka notching up his 7th loss. 3 previous Bashos, he's only scored 5 each time against 10 losses, so he needs a Kachikoshi in this Basho. Now Wakanoyama, 162 kilos against Hamanoshima, 120 kilos, 40 kilos difference, 88 pounds difference. Now if Hamanoshima gets Makikoshi this tournament, he'll drop down to Julio. He's Maegasha 13. It's too close for comfort, but that's it. That's his 7th win, so he only needs 1 more to stay in the Makuuchi division. Wakanoyama there, notching up his 5th loss. quite a build-up to these sumo bouts. There's a lot of pre-fight rituals. Crowd have a little chat while it goes on, and as they get close to this one, the final one, the tension mounts. The audience concentrates on the bout, and then it's over in seconds. It's got quite a rhythm to it, these tournaments. So Takanowaka there wins that one with Hataki Komi, a slap down. Seen quite a few Hataki Komis in this Basho, and that was his 5th win. Oginishiki, otherwise known as Yasu, here fighting Daishi. Just up from the Judo division where he spent some time. Experienced wrestler, has been around quite some time, 32 years old. Whoops, nearly lost it then, they separated and Daishi just managed to stop on the edge, but not with Oginishiki's follow-up. This ring is 4.5 meters across, it's about 15 feet. Surprisingly small actually. 7.5 feet from the center, not very much if you think about it. A couple of steps from the center and you're on the edge. Now Takato Riki against Kaiho. Kaiho, the lightweight wrestler, but he's tricky, he's skillful. Come out, they crack heads. Takato Riki, and there's some slaps there. That's what we expect from Takato Riki, but Kaiho's dishing them out as well, except there's some more from Takato Riki. Turning into quite a punch-up. Well, Kaiho's certainly hanging on there. And he pushed into Takato Riki, but his feet skidded away. A few grimaces there from the Mean Machine. And that's a face that's been slapped a few times, and he can take it and give it out. And that was 4th win for Takato Riki, and if he'd lost that one, he would have had Makekoshi. Those new to sumo, of course, with 15 bouts, fought over a 15-day period. They have 8 wins. It's Kachikoshi 8 or more. That's what they're looking for. That guarantees their rank and their money. To get 8 losses, that's Makekoshi. So Tochino Nada there against Kyokuten Ho, but Tochino Nada losing to that leg grab from the Mongolian. Dropped his hand down just behind the leg and drove Tochino Nada back and out. So Kyokuten Ho, 3rd win for him. He's already had 8 losses, not doing very well this time. Tends to always come out almost exactly the same each time. Needs to vary his tactics somewhat. Chio Tenzan against Kotoryu. Kotoryu was known once for his Tsuriyagi. That's a huge hoisting lift on the belt. Don't see him do it so much now. You can see the sort of beginnings of it there. He locked in, but he didn't have the whole belt and the top rode up. Well, Kotoryu, while he was busily fiddling around on the belt there, just simply got shoved backwards by Chio Tenzan. So for Kotoryu, that was his 10th loss. And 3rd win for Chio Tenzan. Certainly some of these Rikishi this Basho are turning in quite poor performances. It's very hot, and some of them look quite flat for one reason or other. Now, the Musashigawa killer, Hayate Yumi, otherwise on the left there, fighting Takanonami. And he's got slightly round behind him. Now Takanonami's locked onto one arm. He lets go there in an attempt to recover his position. And Hayate Yumi, this newcomer, pushed him out. Well, that was a neat exchange there. He just managed to get a little bit round behind Takanonami, and Takanonami lost it from then on. It's interesting that Hayate Yumi doesn't tend, when he comes up from the tachi-ai, doesn't lead with his head, he leads with his chest, and that shows quite a lot of confidence to do that. He's strong, you can see in the musculature on his upper body. And now Musoyama against Tosonoumi. These two have had 18 head-to-heads previously, literally head-to-head, as you can see there. And Tosonoumi has won 10 of them, so it's close enough. And that was a powerful push there from Musoyama. Oshidashi win there that launched Tosonoumi into space. You see that wry grin on Tosonomi's face as he climbed back into the dojo. And Musoyama's 7th win. He's got to get at least, got to have another 3 wins. So look at that crack of heads there, and Musoyama powering in, starting to drive Tosanumi backwards. There it goes, gets him on the run, and that's dumped Tosanumi into the laps of the audience. There have been occasions where the audience has been injured, and referees, those people around the side, have had bones broken when these ricochet have been dropped on top of them. It's Kaio waiting for his match against Dejima. The match right now is Chio Taikai. He didn't please the crowd very much in his previous bout yesterday when he sidestepped Miyabiyama's charge. It's not in the classical mould. And he's against Tochinohana, 27 years old. 3rd Makauchi tournament. Did very well in his first tournament, second one not so well. But look at that. Well, when Chio Taikai cuts loose, he certainly does launch them over. That was a absolutely powerful series of pushes there from the Ozeki. That's his 8th win. He's had 3 losses so far, so not so good for an Ozeki, but 8 wins and Kachikashi. Tochinohana there, notching up his 4th loss. Akinoshima against Miyabiyama should be a good one. They fought 8 times previously, each has won 4 times. Akinoshima at 33 years old is 10 years older than Miyabiyama. Although Akinoshima said he wants to go on until he's 40. There's not many ricochet that managed to do that, but he's a very stable fighter, is Akinoshima. Shorter than Miyabiyama, some 20 kilos lighter. But he's won 19 tournament prizes in the past, and a number of those were technique prizes, so he's capable of quite a wide range of winning techniques. And let's see what he'll pull out the bag here against Miyabiyama, if he can. So now they're locked in, both fighters on the belt, Yotsu Sumo, so-called. And Miyabiyama trying to get Akinoshima on the run now. Normally in these kind of locked-on positions, they'll start using the stomach to rock the opponent, get their weight moving. Now Akinoshima there manoeuvring round. He was being pushed towards the edge and he just managed to shuffle round. Now it's in this sort of bout, it would be a test of endurance. They don't normally fight much more than about 10 seconds. They concentrate a lot of power in that 10 seconds, but Akinoshima now seems to be gaining the upper hand on Miyabiyama. He was pushing him backwards there. Miyabiyama's struggling a bit. Deep hold round the back of Miyabiyama with that right hand, and that's it. A Yorikiri win there for Akinoshima. Well, that was a tight match, and the veteran, 10 years older than Miyabiyama, had more endurance than him. You can see Miyabiyama breathing a bit there, and Akinoshima doesn't look too stressed at that. You see that scar on his right shoulder. He had quite a bad shoulder injury, which was operated on a few years ago. It took him a while to get over that one. But he's still going, as we can see. Now, Kaio against Dejima. Both of these fighters have got 8 wins and 2 losses apiece. And although it's not absolutely certain, certainly who wins this one will keep himself in the race for the Emperor's Cup. It's not impossible that the loser couldn't do it, but it's one of these make or break moments, we feel, between these 2 top Ozeki. And that's it, from the Atari, the slam into the pull down, and it was Kaio who took it. It's 9 wins now. It looked to me like Kaio hurt his thumb there. Well, we know his thumb's bad already, but he's suffering a bit with that hand of his. See his face there, grimacing in pain. So that was the 9th win for Kaio, 3rd loss for Dejima. And there's Kaio's in pain there, you can see. And he's putting some cold water on his hand just to ease the pain a bit. So let's watch that one. You can see his right hand there, well taped up. And he used that right hand to push Dejima over the edge. So Dejima comes out, looks carefully, drops his head, goes in with the head, but Kaio pushes him out, sidesteps and pushes him out. So that was a good one. Well, Sumo's revving up a bit. It's getting interesting. And now we have Sashimaru, the man who's in the lead, in the sole lead with 10 straight wins. Here against Kotonowaka. These two have had 33 head-to-heads before. And it's Masashimaru who's won 20 of them. And Kotonowaka's good at breaking grips, especially when the other wrestler locks in on the belt. But he hasn't been doing so well of late. So there, Masashimaru trying to lock in, and there's a desperate move by Kotonowaka. Certainly when they go around the neck, yeah, he gave up. He knew it wasn't worth fighting for. So that arm around the neck is nearly always a bad move. Occasionally it isn't. We saw at the very first day of this basho that Akinoshima beat Akebono with that kubinagi, the neck throw, but mostly it's a step away from a defeat. So Masashimaru with 11 straight wins, and we're wondering, or at least I'm wondering, if this is going to be a Zensho Yusho, which is Japanese for a 15 straight win for Masashimaru. And now onto the Musubi no Ban, the closing bout of the day between Akebono and Toki. See what Akebono's going to make of Toki. Well, he's locked in on the belt, which is slightly unusual. Well, this is almost certainly going to be a fight between Akebono and Masashimaru at the end of this basho. They're just brushing them aside, these two Yokozuna. So that was the 10th win. Akebono's only got one loss. So at the end of day 11, Masashimaru in the lead, 11 wins and no losses. Akebono with 10 wins and 1 loss. Kaio, 9 wins and 2 losses. And then clutch of wrestlers, Dejima, Chio Taikai, Wakano Sato with 8 wins and 3 losses apiece. So this is the bow twirling ceremony that always ends the day's proceedings. But don't go away. Well, there's the Kesho Mawashi of the wrestlers. That's the embroidered aprons. That's Musoyama's one there. And that's Musashigawa one. And that's Kaio's Kesho Mawashi. Yeah, they've got their name on it there, if you know how to read it. And I'm not sure who that last one was. So there they are in their heavily embroidered Kesho Mawashis. Clap their hands and file in and then out of the dojo. So at the start of day 12, Sashimaru's in the lead and Akebono's just 1 loss behind. So it seems perhaps that one of those two will be perhaps taking the Emperor's Cup. So first bout on day 12, it's between Hamanoshima. He's got 7 wins so far. If he can win this one, that will keep him in the Makuuchi division. Well, he's won it. That's 8 wins. And almost for certain he'll stay in the Makuuchi division. Maegashira 13, he was just bumping along the bottom there. Aminishiki with his 6th loss. Now the next bout, it's Tokitsu Umi of the Tokitsukaze stable. Quite often elements in the wrestlers' names reflect the stable they're in, so Toki from Tokitsukaze. And here fighting Kaiho of the Hakkaku stable. Hakkaku stable is run by the one-time Yokozuna Hokuto Umi, who was one of the Kokonoe stable wrestlers in the time of Chiyonofuji. The 2 of them were Yokozuna there. Well, Kaiho eventually winning that one. He wrapped both arms around Tokitsumi's body and hustled him out over the edge of the dojo. So that was the 8th loss for Tokitsu Umi and Makikoshi. Now, Asanowaka. Well, you do have to laugh at that. Once upon a time, well, not so long ago, he was told to vary his salt chucking in routine. So he did, and now he's made it even worse. But they let him do it. Well, didn't last long there. That's his 8th loss, and Makikoshi has only had 4 wins so far. Tochi Sakai, a newcomer, gaining his 8th win. He came very quickly up the ranks. He was in only 2 tournaments in the Juryo division, both of which he won, and now here he is up in the Makuuchi division. So promising material there, although sometimes they come in and do very well the first tournament or 2 and then fade. A bit like Kyokushuzan here in the early days. He was totally unpredictable. You never knew what he was going to do, but he's got pretty orthodox now and nowhere near so exciting. Here fighting Wakanoyama, means young mountain. Kyokushuzan means the early morning hawk mountain. And Wakanoyama there, trying to skid him over. Kyokushuzan hanging on there. Wakanoyama put his knee behind Kyokushuzan, almost tipped him over, but then followed on with a yorikiri or a force out on the edge. So that was Kyokushuzan, nevertheless, has been doing quite well this tournament. He's got 8 wins so far. That was his 4th loss, but he's got his kachikoshi. Now Takato Riki against Kyoku Tenho. These two have only fought 3 times previously. Kyoku Tenho has won 2 of them. Now Takato Riki unusually goes for the belts. He nearly always keeps it open and uncorks a few slaps. Well, I suppose Takato Riki wants to show that he can do belt sumo. So he's leaning in there. It's a tight grip that Takato Riki's got. Well, that wasn't so well judged, I think. Should have done his normal sumo. 4th win for Kyoku Tenho. And now on to our next bout. This is between Tochino Nada and Minato Fuji. Tochino Nada, 26 years old, against 32-year-old Minato Fuji. Came into Makuuchi division in 1993. So he's been fighting at the top here for 7 years or so. That's 6 bashos a year, that's 42 bashos. That's a long time in this sacred ring. So Minato Fuji gaining his 4th win. Tochino Nada his 9th loss. So that was an Oshidashi win there, a push out with the arms. Now next bout is Chiotenzan. And it's against Tosonoumi. You can hear the crowd calling out for their favourite wrestler. In this case, there are more calls for Tosonoumi. Chiotenzan's got a couple of dodgy knees, not doing very well. He's at 8 losses so far, and so has Tosonoumi. That was a hard start from Tosonoumi. And they're trying the overarm grip. Loses it though as Chiotenzan hangs on. And that looks as though that was Chiotenzan's for a second, but clearly he dropped down ahead of Tosonoumi. So 4th win for Tosonoumi and 9th loss for Chiotenzan. His knees are certainly giving him some trouble in this tournament. Now Kotoryu from the Saragataki stable against Oginishiki of the Dewanoumi stable. 29 years old, Oginishiki, Kotoryu 28, not much to choose between them. Age-wise, weight-wise, both around the 140 kilo mark. Well, that was Oginishiki winning. He needed that fight. That was his 3rd win so far. Classical yorikiri move there at the end. From the tachiai straight onto the belt, and then a one-way track to the edge and over for Kotoryu. Now the Musashigawa killer against Akinoshima. Well, Akinoshima's from the Futogoyama stable, but certainly Hayate Yumi's doing well this tournament. 6 wins so far. He came into the Makuuchi division this year. He's fought Akinoshima once before and lost that one. Let's see if he can level the score up a bit. Now he's got that belt on the front. And Akinoshima's locking both hands underneath. He's trying that Kime Dashi hold there. Well, that was quite a mix-up there. Well, it's one of the judges has objected to the call there. The call was given to Hayate Yumi. Let's see, in fact, what happens there. Does Hayate Yumi... Well... So no, they've upheld, it's Gunbai-dori, they've upheld the referee's call, which was originally Hayate-yumi. Touch and go there, I think. Could have been a Torinaoshi rematch. So Hayate-yumi wins that one, that's his 7th win. His last 2 bashos, he's had Kachikoshi 8. The last basho, the one before that, was 9 wins. Now Musoyama. Well, he had a bad shoulder early in last year, around March '99. He dislocated his shoulder, but it seems to be okay now. Against Tochino Hana, who's some 20 kilos lighter than him. And a head-cracking start there from the 2 wrestlers, but it's a pull down from Musoyama, who withdrew slightly and pushed down on the back of Tochino Hana's neck. And that sent him to the ground with Tsuriotoshi. And that was 8th win, and Kachikoshi for Musoyama. He still needs another 2 wins, but he's got a little bit of margin there. He can afford 1 loss between now and the end if he wants to get back up to Ozeki. Dejima from the Sashigawa stable, 163 kilos, fights Kotonowaka at 173 kilos. These 2 have fought 9 times previously. Kotonowaka's won 6 of them. Dejima never took a major title as an amateur sumo player in Japan. Well, certainly he's improved a lot since then. He there handled Kotonowaka quite easily, out hard and fast, both arms round Kotonowaka's trunk, and then straight over the edge with Yorikiri. So that's 9th win for Dejima. Previous tournament he had 10 wins. Tends to win around that level over the last year or so. You normally expect an Ozeki to win closer to the sort of 12 mark, 12 or 13. But here's Kaio, you can see him flexing his hand there, that thumb of his which he hurt before this basho. And Kaio will be fighting Akibono, so we see them coming out. They stand in line just out of sight, and as the basho wears on they shuffle forward, and then they go and sit at the edge of the ring awaiting their turn. Right now we have the orange mawashi, the familiar sight of the orange mawashi and the long sideburns of Toki against Chio Taikai. Toki's never beaten Chio Taikai, they've met 5 times previously. Chio Taikai came out rather slow there, but well, he does seem to vary, Chio Taikai. Sometimes he looks overwhelmingly strong, then other times he seems to run away from the fight a bit. Temperamental, I suppose, we'd say. But that was his 9th win. He's had 3 losses so far. And that was Toki's 7th loss. Now the next fight. Not yet Kaio and Akibono, but gradually getting closer. This one between Miyabayama and Takanowaka. Now Miyabayama's got 6 wins. He needs Kachikoshi, that's at least 8 wins, to stay in his rank of Ozeki. Otherwise he'll be down, and that won't be very long in that rank. Very short, in fact. Well, that was his 7th win. He's getting closer and closer to it. 7th win for Miyabayama. His last basho was pretty disastrous. He only had 6 wins, so he's exceeded that. And that was the 7th loss for Takanowaka. Takanowaka fading a bit when he first came into Makuuchi Sumo. Was much praised, regarded as a rising new star, but last basho he only had 6 wins. And now Akibono, 236 kilos of him against Kaio at 172. Well, Akibono's got 1 loss, Kaio's got 2 losses. Now if Kaio loses this one can predict that he'll be out of the race for the Yusho, though the tournament win, the Emperor's Cup. Not absolutely, of course. There's a couple of days left to go after this bout. And in theory, Akebono and Musashi Maru could lose all three of them. But this is a decider. These two have met 29 times previously. And Akebono's won 23 of them. But Kaio's a new man. He's strong and he's confident. Slams in and then sidesteps. Doesn't really follow up quick enough. What he mustn't do is let Akebono settle down and use his weight. And that's exactly what happened. Akebono just wrapped those long arms around and just drove forward, and that trundled Kaio backwards and out of the ring. Don't think that Kaio was much affected by his thumb there. Difficult to say, of course. He could have sidestepped Akebono right at the start. Let's watch this one. Well, they go into the bang, he leads low, then he pulls away. Akebono now is much better at these sidestepping moves. He tends not to go sailing past. He's got his legs seem to be much stronger, and he's become more stable in the lower half of his body, and you can see that sort of crab-like action there. Legs wide, knees space wide as he just drives forward and shoves Kaio back and out. And now the concluding bout. Day 12 between Musashi Maru and Takanonami. Well, these two have met 45 times previously. They both came into Makuuchi Sumo 9 years ago, so over those 9 years they've met that number of times, 45 times. Musashi Maru's won 27 of them. But it's recent form that counts, and on recent form it's got to be Musashi Maru. So let's see if he can maintain his unbroken win record this tournament. Now Takanonami's trying the throw. I tried to lift him with the leg, he wasn't remotely near it. Musashi Maru just bearing down on him, crushed him with his weight. There was some 50-60 kilos weight difference between the two of them. That's about 9.5 stone in Great Britain. So a somewhat futile attempt there by Takanonami to throw Musashi Maru. Well, Musashi Maru is certainly looking strong. Incidentally, the last time that he got a 15 straight win to win a tournament was in the Nagoya tournament of '94, so 6 years ago. So I'm wondering whether he can get it this time. He's certainly getting closer and closer to it. And there you can see he gets slightly sideways onto Takanonami. Takanonami with the underarm grip there, trying to throw him over. Then he throws his leg in there, a bit like the judo throw of Uchimata. There is a word for it in Nicho Nage in sumo, but no, it doesn't get near. And there you can see the hand on the back of his neck and just crushed down by Musashi Maru. So at the end of day 12, Musashi Maru is in the lead with 12 straight wins. Akebono, 11 wins and 1 loss. Kaio's got 9-3, Chio Taikai's got 9-3, Dejima's got 9-3, Wakanosato 9-3. And then there's a couple of wrestlers. Hello, irashaimase, and welcome to the last 3 days of the 15-day Basho, the Autumn Grand Sumo Tournament from Tokyo, Japan. This is Sid Hoare. The two foreign-born Yokozuna clearly in the lead. It's tempting to think that Japanese sumo is declining, but such is the eternal nature of this 2,000-year-old sport. The tough ones slowly but constantly emerge from the lower divisions. Exciting new ones at present include Tochino Hana, Hayate Yumi, Aminishiki, Takanowaka, and Miyabiyama. Yes, he's only in his 10th Basho. Makuuchi Basho. Of the older ones, Kaio appears reborn, Musayama has recovered from his lower back injury, and Wakanosato is back on form after his knee injury. So as we go into day 13, it's Musashi Maru in the lead with 12 straight wins, and Akebono 1 step behind with 11 wins and 1 loss. Now, first bout of day 13 between Tokitsu-umi and Hamanoshima. Hamanoshima there in the purple mawashi was once as high as Komusubi rank. It's now down to Maigashira 13 near the bottom of the heap, but he's back on the trail again. Comes from the same stable as Higonoumi, both from the Mihogaseki stable. Well, these two, Tokitsumi on the left and Hamanoshima, have fought each other 7 times previously. Tokitsumi's won 4 of them, and that makes 5. And so that's Tokitsumi nearing the end of the Basho with 5 wins. Not doing too well at this time round. Previous Basho he had 9 wins, And that was the 5th loss for Hamanoshima. Now the next bout between Tochi Sakai. Well, he came into the into Sumo rather, 7 years ago. It's taken him 7 years to climb up to the Makuuchi division. Fighting Aminishiki there. But it's Tochi Sakai who skids over on that slippery surface, and Aminishiki takes his 7th win. Tochi Sakai's okay in his first Makuuchi Basho. He's had 8 wins so far. Now, Asanowaka, his old compatriot, Mito Izumi, announced his retirement today. It was Mito Izumi, otherwise known as the Salt Shaker. He used to chuck a load of massive handfuls of salt in the ring. Well, Asanowaka's just chucking in a mere dribble of salt. There, Asanowaka did well there. Managed to turn Kinkayama around and shoved him out from behind. So that was 8 losses for Kinkayama and Makikoshi, and the 5th much-needed win for Asanowaka. Not doing too well in the last 3 bashos is Asanowaka. Now Higonarumi showering the ring with salt there against Toki in the bright orange Mawashi. Now Toki's he's Sapari now, they're getting used to it, some of these wrestlers. They're closing him down, they're moving in tight, as did Higonarumi there, and up close. Of course, those long arms of Toki not very effective against the face and the upper body. So he's been having a bit of a hard time against the Yokozuna and the Ozekis. That was his 8th loss. It's Toki's 8th loss, and Makikoshi for him. So a drop down the ranks, certainly in the next basho. Now Tama Takatoriki against Tamakasuga. Head banging start there from the Tachiai, these two. Takatoriki lost it there, got sidestepped, and Tamakasuga managed to get round behind and eventually pushed him out. So that was the 6th win for Tamakasuga and the 9th loss for Tamakasuga. Now Kyokuten Ho, gentle character by all accounts, scared stiff of his Oyakata as well. And here fighting Oginishiki. Oginishiki on the right there closes in very quickly and drives him out with the Oshidashi. That's the push out. Hands on the body and a straight push over the edge of the ring. 4th win for Oginishiki. Not doing as well as his previous basho when he had 7 wins and 8 losses, but a couple more bouts to go so he can even it up a bit. It's a good view there of the sacred dojo from a long shot. It's a huge hanging roof, the Tsuriyane hanging over the ring, weighs 13 tons. Now our next fight, it's Hayate Yumi here, who's doing extremely well. He's got 7 wins so far. He's fighting Wakano Sato, who's back after his knee operation. Now, Wakano Sato extremely powerful, but Hayate Yumi's got that magic quality. He's not so big, he's only 130 kilos, but he somehow has been beating a lot of the top men this basho. Previous basho he had 8-7, and today, on the 13th day, that's also 8 wins. So he'll almost certainly do better than his previous basho. And there's a possibility of promotion up to Komusubi next time round. Lightweight wrestler coming up next, Kai-Ho, a mere 125 kilos. He's an intense trainer, is Kai-Ho. Over last Christmas he was training alone in the stable while all the other wrestlers were wrestling. And Kai-Ho there is good at attacking from the side. You can see that constant pressure of his. He tries to get round the side of the wrestler, and once he gets round there, he's extremely dangerous, and Kotoryu is having a struggle there. And what a mix of techniques from Kai-Ho. And Kotoryu not looking too happy. That's his 12th loss. He's only had 1 win so far in this whole basho. 12th loss for Kotoryu and 6th win for Kai-Ho. So still a chance for Kai-Ho to get Kachikoshi, the magic rank establishing number. It's 8 wins or more. Now Tosono Umi, big man, 160 kilos, fighting Tochino Nara at 165, slightly heavier. Two quite tall wrestlers. They fought each other 8 times previously. Tosanumi's won 5 of them. And that makes it 6. Well, Tochinonada came in hard there, but his feet skidded away. Once they lean in at too much of an angle, then there's no purchase on the clay and the sand of the dohyo. The feet skid away, and that's exactly what happened to Tochinonada there. Now Kotonowaka, 7 wins so far. He wins this one, that will give him his Kachikoshi. Same for Takanonami, he's got 7 wins. So the winner here will breathe a sigh of relief. That's the tension releasing moment when they get that 8 wins or more. So now 2 huge wrestlers locked in tight. Kotonowaka, 173 kilos. That's an overarm throw attempt there from Takanonami, and Takanonami takes it. And that's Kachikoshi for the ex-Ozeki, a man who was at Ozeki rank consecutively for a number of years. And that's 8 wins for him, better than his last 3 bashos when he scored 7, 6 and then 7. So finally he gets Kachikoshi. The last time he got Kachikoshi was the first basho of the year. That was in January this year. Akinoshima, the tank, 152 kilos, short and squat, against Chio Tenzan, 151 kilos, weight-wise, not much in it. Both had a good basho last time. Akinoshima had 8 wins, Chio Tenzan 10, and that's Chio Tenzan with his 4th win, and 8th loss for Akinoshima, and Makikoshi for him. So Chio Tenzan not doing so well this time round. Some quite wide swings in the scores they get from basho to basho. Previous one, he had 10 scores. This one, 4 at this point. Now Takanowaka, one of the new stars, fighting Musoyama. These 2 have fought twice previously. Musoyama won both of them. And Musoyama's got 8 wins. He needs 10 wins to get back up to Ozeki rank. It's easier getting back to the rank than it is to get it in the first place. Only 10 wins required, and that's the 9th win for Musoyama. He's getting closer and closer to recovery to his old position. The Ozeki rank, of course, being the second one from the top. Yokozuna, the very top rank, the grand champion. Ozeki below that. So a bit of prize money there for Musoyama after that win. Takanowaka notching up his 8th loss, and Makikoshi. Noisy crowd here in the Kokugikan this time. It's these young ones, these new ones that excite and create a lot of interest. Tochinahana has got 7 wins, as has Miyabiyama. Once again, the winner here. Get that majority of wins, the 8 wins or more, and that's a good start. Heads just slightly to one side, not head on. Head banging start. Miyabiyama trying to throw there, and that's a loss for the Ozeki. Tochinahana gains his 8th win and his Kachikoshi. Of course, for some wrestlers, they're in the race for the Emperor's Cup, and Kachikoshi is not so relevant, but for these ones lower down who are not in the race, it's the all-important thing that they're aiming for. 8 wins there for Tochinahana, and a 6th loss for Miyabiyama. So let's watch that one again. That was a good bout. Head slightly to one side when they come out. Miyabiyama leaning in, but being driven back at this stage. Tries to recover, but Tochinahana is lifting him up, floating him up. Miyabiyama tries that throw on the left there, then grabs round the neck. Sure sign of desperation there. Drops on his back. And that's the end of him for that bout. Now here's a man who's got 9 wins and 3 losses. He's been set back. He injured his thumb very badly before this basho, and it's been giving him a lot of trouble. We've seen that in the previous days. Perhaps if it wasn't for that, he might well have been in the race. With 3 losses, he's not going to be in contention for the Emperor's Cup. Here against Wakanoyama on the right. 160 kilos, and Kaio looking massively strong these days. He flipped Wakanoyama over. It's 160 kilos of him, 25 stone. With ease, hardly looks stressed at all, does Kaio. Said that he's got a grip strength of 100 kilos. That's 100 kilos, 220 pounds of pressure in his hands. So a very strong man there at 172 kilos. Let's watch that one. So slight turn to the side as they come up from the tachiai, but he gets quickly round the side, takes his hand over the top and spins Wakanoyama over with the overarm throw, the Iwate Nage. And now the first of the Yokozuna. This is the man who's in the lead, 12 straight wins, fighting Chiyo Taikai. Now Chiyo Taikai, we know, will come out like a rocket. He'll try and blast Musashi Maru back with a head charging start. The head will go straight for Musashi Maru's face, no doubt. That's his normal pattern. Although he has been known recently to vary that a bit, but mainly against people who charge out on him. Well, there it goes. Head into the chest, and he's trying to blast the big man back. But look at that. Chiyo Taikai's foot skidded away. He looks a bit miffed about that one. Well, he had the big man on the run a bit. I wouldn't say that Musashi Maru was in danger there. He was driven back a bit, but he looked comfortable. And then the sheer bulk of Chiyo Taikai stopped him, or the sheer bulk, I should say, of Musashi Maru stopped Chiyo Taikai dead, and his foot skidded away. So 13 straight wins for Musashi Maru. And of course the big question is, let's watch that one again, is he going to get 15 straight wins for this tournament? Well, Chiyo Taikai there opens up well, but look at that, his feet skid away. Looked a moment of carelessness, really. He wasn't exactly leaning in at an angle against the Yokozuna, but it is a slippery surface. It's clay, and the clay is a loose covering on top. A lot of sand, of course, as well. Now, Akebono has got one loss. Can't afford to lose as we come up towards the end of this Basho. Musashi Maru needs one more win, certainly tomorrow, to guarantee it. Dejima here, 163 kilos, Akebono 236. These two have fought 10 times and each has won 5 times. Well, that's grim determination on Dejima's face. And there's a slap from Akebono, and Akebono loses. He gets dragged down. That's 2 losses for Akebono. Now that opens up the victory now for Musashi Maru. There's 2 more days to go. So possibilities of 2 losses for Musashi Maru, which would even it up. But if Musashi Maru gets 1 win tomorrow or the day after, that'll do the trick. So that's Dejima with his 10th win as he downed the big Yokozuna, Akebono. So at the end of day 13, it's Musashi Maru in the lead, with Akebono there, who just bit the dust, taking his 2nd loss, 11 wins and 2 losses. Behind them, Dejima, 10-3, Kaio, 10-3, and Chiyo Taikai, Musoyama and Wakano Sato with 9 wins and 4 losses. So this is the man who looks like he's going to take the cup. But stay with us, we'll be back very shortly with more sumo after the break. Day 14, the penultimate day of the Basho, and this is the man who's expected to win it. He needs 1 more win to clinch the victory, either today's fights or the last day tomorrow. So there he does, the Yokozuna Dohyo Iri. Big shouts from the crowd when he stamps his feet to the floor. Behind him is Akebono with 11 wins and 2 losses. So it'll be between these two. And the other interest is whether Musashi Maru can win with 15 straight wins. Now into our first bout, it's Kyokushuzan, the Mongolian, on the left against Kaiho. Sorry, Kyokushuzan on the right there against Kaiho on the left. Similar coloured mawashi, can be confusing when they twirl around. Now Kaiho good at getting around the side, as we've noticed before. He's got a lot of techniques, takes a deep grip right round the back, and he'll try and use that to turn. And Kaiho wins there. That's his 7th win. He's got 1 more fight last day, chance for him to get his 8 wins. And Kyokushuzan already with 8 wins, and that was his 6th loss. So Kyokushuzan doing much better than his last 3 Bashos when he only scored 5 wins each time. So he's perking up a bit. And now Asanowaka against Daishi. Well, these have fought 8 times previously. Daishi's won 5 of them, but he's been a long time in the Juryo division, which is a tough division. but not quite as tough as the Makuuchi division. So Asanowaka there, try to push him backwards. Daishi pressed back against that, and then Asanowaka spun him over with Tsukiyotoshi. 6th win for Asanowaka. That's better than he did last time. In fact, the last 2 times he only had 5 wins. And Daishi notching up his 10th loss. Now Hamanoshima against Tochinohana. Hamanoshima, a mere 120 kilos. And Tochinohana, 151. Some 30 kilos difference between the two of them. That's a good start there. And then a sharp drive to the edge by Hamanoshima in his lavender Mawashi. But Tochinohana's hanging on in there, keeping the fight on the boil, and drives Hamanoshima back to the edge. Hamanoshima recovers from that, wedges his feet against the side of the ring. Frequently used for that purpose as they go skidding back. They look for it with a rear leg. And now, is it going to be a long bout? They're settling in. May well be a test of stamina. Hamanoshima trying to lift there. And then a determined attempt from Tochinohana with the overarm throw. And looked to me like Tochinohana had that one. So that's 9th win for Tochinohana and the 6th loss for Hamanoshima. Hamanoshima doing much better this time round. Had last Basho he only had 6 wins. One before that, 3 wins, so he's on the up and up again. Now Otsukasa against Oginishiki. Oginishiki in the green Mawashi. Oginishiki is a good rikishi, but he suffers too many injuries now. There's a good evidence of his skill there. He got sidestepped perfectly, but he swung round almost immediately and got back into the fight. Looked to me like Otsukasa touched the floor there with his hand, but whether he did or he didn't, certainly Oginishiki finished that off, drove in and dumped him out with Yori Taoshi. So 5th win for Oginishiki, despite his many injuries. Our next fight is between Takanowaka. Takanowaka seems to think he needs more strength. He does a fair bit of weight training for it. Not too much sumo by all accounts. And he's against Higonumi here. The heads bang in at the start. Then it's the slaps to the face. And then looking for the belt, some twirl arounds. And it's Higonumi who wins that one. Takanowaka going into the turn there a little bit too carelessly and stepped out. So that was the 9th loss for Takanowaka. And only 5 wins so far. 9th win for Higonumi. Toki, who's being contained a bit now, as we noted in the last bout he had. He's not been allowed to use his long arms. Here against Chio Tenzan. Chio Tenzan there, you can see, trying to close in a bit. Toki's got a bit more room this time. Tries to push into a pull, but Chio Tenzan recovers from that. Drives him to the edge. Oh, that was close. I think that was Chio Tenzan who won that one. So these referees have to be on the ball. They've got to watch the two bodies as they crash down, and they can be separated by quite a distance. And Chio Tenzan there collecting some prize money, which was put on the outcome of the match. Not betting as such, just money for the winner. Now day 14 into our next bout. It's Hayate Yumi, 25 years old, against veteran Kotonowaka, 32 years old. Hayate Yumi, a mere 130 kilos, that's just over 20 stone. And Kotonowaka at 173. Kotonowaka 7 wins, Hayate Yumi 8 wins. This newcomer is certainly doing extremely well. Puts his leg behind Kotonowaka there, the kirikaishi move. Didn't actually score with it, but it drove Kotonowaka backwards over the edge, and that's 9 wins for Hayate Yumi. Now at Maigashira 2 ranking, there's a very good chance that he'll go up to Komusubi rank in the next Basho. Now Takato Riki. It's quite noticeable how carefully he watches the opponent. When he crouched down in that last shikiri, that's the crouch down, he watches very carefully. Slowish start there from Takato Riki, leads with the head. not too vigorous. Trying a few slaps, but not that many. Tosunumi's closing him in a bit. Banging him with the head as well. And more head going in. Almost gets sidestepped. And Takatoriki pushing him rather than slapping him. And eventually Takatoriki gets it with the pushes, Oshidashi, rather than his uppercut-like slap. You can see from the blinking, we often see that when the winning wrestler squats down, they blink and rub their face. Because the face takes an awful lot of battering, either from the opponent's head or from his hands in the form of slaps or pushes. Now, Tochino Nada against Kotoryu. These two have fought 7 times previously. Tochino Nada's won 5 of them. So the money's on Tochino Nada, and he's making the going, driving Kotoryu back to the edge. Kotoryu survives that, gets back to the centre. So small this ring, really, once they start moving. And there he is, teetering on the brink. Kotoryu eventually ballet dances over the edge. Feet twinkling as they cross that straw circle. A straw that marks the circle, I should say. So that was 4 wins for Tochino Nada, or 4th win, and the 13th loss for Kotoryu. Now we have Wakanoyama against Akinoshima. Akinoshima's got the record for Kimboshis, that's wins against Yokozunas. Probably would have had a lot more if he didn't belong to Fudogoyama stable, because that's where Wakanohana and Takanohana come from, and of course he doesn't fight his own stable mates, so that's fewer chances to beat the Yokozuna. But for the lower ranked wrestlers, it's pay in increments if they do win, and Akinoshima gets 40,000 yen for each Kimboshi every Basho he fights, so it's quite a lot of money for him. So Akinoshima there, beating Wakanoyama to gain his 6th win and 7th loss for Wakanoyama. Wakano Sato against Musoyama. Wakano Sato back from the Juryo division, sat out a couple of Bashos, had his knee op, then he was in the Juryo division, quickly came back from there and into the Makuuchi division. 156 kilos of him, powerful wrestler. Musoyama heavier and even more powerful, but he's got this lower back injury which hasn't stopped him too much this tournament. He's got 9 wins so far, and it's touch and go, and it's Wakano Sato's victory there. Well, that was anybody's match. 2 men very evenly matched there, and Wakano Sato gaining his 10th win. He's looking very pleased with himself. And very pleased as he took the money as well. So 10 wins, that's a good result for Wakano Sato, and chance for another one on the last day, Senshiraku. Now Miyabayama, he's got 7 wins. He's at Ozeki rank, but he did badly last time. If he loses this one, but not this one, if he loses from now on, he won't get the Kachikoshi, and then he'll go down from Ozeki. So he needs a win here or a win tomorrow, and that's it. Miyabayama secures his position in the Ozeki rank. Big sigh of relief, no doubt there. His first appearance as an Ozeki last time round was an absolute disaster. He only got 6 wins. Well, I guess you could say that was nerves. He's a youngish man, he's 23. He very quickly came through the ranks. Well, you can see the relief on his face there as he walks away from the dojo. Sesshimaru getting ready for the moment of truth, which will be against Kaio. Not immediately so. The next bout out is Takanonami, and he'll be fighting Dejima. The actual bouts are fixed the day before, so the wrestler will know as he's about to fight on any given day who he will be fighting the next day. Here, Takanonami against Dejima. They've had 16 head-to-heads previously. Dejima's won 10 of them. This is Takanonami's 800th Makuuchi bout. Well, that's a long time in the ring. He came in Makuuchi Sumo in 1991, 9 years of sumo. And that's a win for Takanonami, 9 wins for him. 4th loss for Dejima. Well, certainly Takanonami's come back with a vengeance this time round. His 3 previous Bashos He scored 7, then 6, and then 7. And here we are, 9 wins, and possibly a 10th win on the last day. Now, Akebono with 2 losses, fighting Chiyo Taikai. Well, these two have fought 9 times previously, and Akebono's won 5 of them. Akebono, the largest Yokozuna in history, not the largest Rikishi though. It was Konishiki a couple of years ago, who was very much heavier, about 260 kilos or so of him. And that's Akebono just blotting out Chiyo Taikai. That was 12 wins for him. Akebono against 2 losses. Chiyo Taikai, 5 losses, not doing so well. And Akebono, no doubt, wondering whether Masashi Maru is going to win the next one, as that will decide the outcome of this Basho. Akebono there, winning with Yorikiri against Chiyo Taikai. Well, there, comes in quickly, wraps his huge arms round, shoves in his massive stomach, and just keeps moving forward. And there you see the foot of Chiyo Taikai crossing the line there, and a loss for Chiyo Taikai. Now on day 14, the penultimate day, it's Kaio against Masashi Maru. Well, these two have fought 37 times before. Kaio came into Makuuchi Sumo in 93, Masashi Maru in 91, so over those years they've fought many times. And of those 37 bouts, Masashi Maru's won 22 of them. But Kaio certainly is looking strong. Masashi Maru's got 13 straight wins. If he wins this one, that clinches the Basho. That will give him 14 wins. Whatever happens after that, even if he loses on the last day, he's got the Emperor's Cup. So Kaio, suffering from an injured right hand. Slowish start from Kaio. Masashi Maru coming forward, driving forward. He's got to be careful there. Kaio's feet skid away. Now Kaio not really fighting this one. And there gets dumped over the edge. And that's it. Masashi Maru takes his 8th tournament win overall. 8th tournament win, couple more Basho wins, and he'll qualify as a great Yokozuna. 10 or more wins for a Yokozuna is in that class of Yokozuna. And now the only interest in the remaining day of the Basho is whether he can get 15 straight wins. So it comes out. Now Kaio there, you can see, barely fighting. I'm not saying that he's chucking the match, but that right hand of his is giving him a lot of problems. And he can't really push against that massive bulk of Masashi Maru. And so he's doing his best to avoid it, but Masashi Maru just powering in there and drives him over the edge. So there, 14th win for Masashi Maru and the tournament, the Yusho, as they call it. And at the end of day 14, as we see, Masashi Maru wins the tournament, but one more bout to go. Akebono with 12-2. Wakano Sato, Kaio and Dejima with 10th day of the Basho, otherwise known as Senshuraku. That actually means the music of 1,000 autumns. The idea is it was the last piece played in the ancient court music centuries ago, and it came to mean anything that's played on the last day of anything. So a bit of history, sumo history there, for those sumo fans. And here's the man who's already won the Basho. As far as he's concerned, if he can get Zensho Yusho, which means 15 complete wins, that will create a record of sorts. And but it also affects his pay, because they get a large jump in their salary if they manage to do that. So into our first bout, it's between Daishi, Aminishiki. Daishi with 4 wins, Aminishiki with 7 wins. Aminishiki needs that 8th win here. And driving forward, lost it there, Daishi just slapped him down on the edge. So Aminishiki gets Makikoshi on his last day. Daishi gets 5 wins, but at Maigasho of 14, that means he'll go back down to the Juryo division again, where he's been for 3 years or more now. Now Tamakasuga fights Tokitsumi. Tamakasuga, quiet man by all accounts. Doesn't go out much at night. Plenty of opportunities for Rikishi to go out. They're invited to lots of parties and functions, but He tends to stay at home. With Tamakasuga there, looks as though he was trying that Uchari move on the edge, but couldn't get the lift, and Tokitsumi just squashed him down with Yori Taoshi. So for Tamakasuga, that was 8 losses, and Makikoshi. And Tokitsumi's already got it. Got the Makikoshi, that is, with 8 losses. Now, Kyokushuzan and Asano Waka. Well, Asano Waka, popular wrestler. Kyokushuzan also very popular. They're different, these two. So, Asano Waka there, unusually going for the slaps. He's usually pretty tricky on the sidestepping moves and very fast off the tachiai. Can go in any direction from that crouch down. Both wrestlers there slapping each other around a bit, but it was Asano Waka who gets pulled down and leave it over with the overarm grip. So Kyokushuzan with 9 wins. Well, that's a big change for him after the 3 previous Bashos when he only scored 5 each time. He now leaves this Basho with 9 wins, so that'll certainly push him comfortably up the rankings again. He was getting uncomfortably close to the bottom and possible demotion to the Juryo division. Now Kaiho against Wakano Sato. Kaiho with 7 wins, Wakano Sato already with 10. Kaiho could certainly do with a win here. Well, fast off the mark there. But Wakano Sato, some 30 kilos heavier, looks strong. Not too much fat on Wakano Sato, a lot of muscle there. And Kaiho can't afford to lock in like this. Wakano Sato's just got too much power, and there's proof of that. Wakano Sato holds over the top, levers down on Kaiho's arm, and hurls him straight down to the clay surface. And 11 wins for Wakano Sato. Now, interesting little move there, if you can see that. As Wakano Sato came out, he brought his forearm up under Kaiho's chin. Now, they're allowed to do that. They can't punch with a fist, but there's no reason why they can't bring the forearm up. And that's what they do against wrestlers that come out too low. They coax the head up, if I can use that word, coax, with the forearm, and it's not done at all gently either. So Wakano Sato there using that move, Rachi Age it's called, against Kaiho. Now Hamanoshima with 8 wins, he's comfortable. Takanawaka with 5 wins, so he'll slide down the ranks, whatever happens. These two have fought twice before. Takanawaka's won 2 of them. So let's see if Hamanoshima can reverse that trend. And some nice slaps there. Hamanoshima, a lightweight wrestler, only 120 kilos. And Takanawaka there trying the Kotenagi throw there. Pressure on the arm breaking throw. Got the overarm grip there. It looked like Takanawaka had Hamanoshima on the run, but right on the end he lost it. So Yorikiri win there for Hamanoshima. 9 wins for him. That's his best result in 3 Bashos. The one before he had 6 wins, the one before that only 3. And he'll most certainly move up the rankings and into safety. At Maegashira 13, he was getting a bit too close to the bottom. Now Oginishiki fights Centaurio. Well, Centaurio at 4 wins on the right there, not doing too well. He'll almost certainly go back down to the Juryo division. He's become a little bit too predictable. And there, well, he gets a final win. That's 5 wins, but certainly that's Makikoshi for Centaurio, whatever, win or no. And Oginishiki notching up his 10th loss. Well, he's had a bad knee, and he's stuck in there. He's fought, he's had 5 wins, so not too bad. But Centaurio, the American, Henry Armstrong Miller, otherwise known as, going back down into the Juryo division. Now, here's 2 wrestlers who will almost certainly gain one of the 3 tournament prizes that's on offer. They've done very well. Both have scored 9 in this tournament. So it's quite likely that they'll get possibly the technique prize, or the fighting spirit prize, or the outstanding performer prize. Well, it's touch and go, and well, Hayate Yumi was bending almost double there at the end on that tremendous pressure from Tochinahana. Hayate Yumi, the lighter of the 2 wrestlers, but he recovered from that bending at the edge, but Tochinahana reversed And through in with the underarm grip. So Shitatenage win there for Tochinohana. And 10 wins for Tochinohana and 9 for Hayate Yumi. Good result for the pair of them. And down the Hanamichi to the Shitakubeya. Hanamichi, the flower path, leads the east one and the west one, leads to and from the dohyo, and Shitakubeya are the preparation rooms down below. Now Chiotenzan against Tochinonada. So these two have fought 5 times previously. Chiotenzan's won 3 of them. Trying the overarm grip there. Almost got Tochinonada tipped over, but not quite. Tochinonada coming back hard. Chiotenzan hanging on grimly. And back to the centre again. Just a couple of steps it takes to go from the edge to the centre. And look at that. Skidding his feet away. Well, he was trying hard there, but the purchase on this surface is not good. Deliberately so, in fact. Adds that element of luck or chance to the outcome of the bouts. So that was 6th win for Chiotenzan. Nowhere near as good as the previous Basho when he scored 10. And the 11th loss for Tochinonada. Now Takatoriki against Kotoryu. These two have fought 7 times. Kotoryu's won 4 of them. Kotoryu's got 13 losses in this tournament. He's got a bad leg, but he's fighting, and that gets him points as far as the Japanese go. Well, Takatoriki there, sending him into the crowd quite comfortably. And 6th win for Noble Fighting Strength. That's what his name means, Takatoriki. And an Oshidashi technique to boot. Now Tosunoumi at 160 kilos. He's only got 5 wins. He's Maigashira 1. If he'd got Kachikoshi this time, he would have gone back up to Komusubi, but that's not possible now. Toki giving him some stick, so some good slaps, followed by a pull down. Hikiatoshi pull drop throw from Toki gives him his 6th win, which is gives him exactly the same score as he had in his previous Basho, 6-9. And 10th loss for Tosunoumi. Now Wakanoyama against the Takanonami from the Futogoyama stable. These two have fought 5 times previously. Takanonami's won 4 of them. Takanonami with 9 wins, he's comfortable. Wakanoyama with 7 wins. Well, certainly Wakanoyama needs the win here. That will give him his Kachikoshi. But he's powering in. Cutting off, not giving... now, who went out first there? The referee has called it for Wakanoyama. Yes, indeed. So Wakanoyama gains his 8th win and Kachikoshi. And that will get him closer up to Komusubi. And Takanonami quite pleased with his result this time round. Now Akinoshima, this time last year he was in the race for the cup until the very last day. This time he's only got 6 wins. Kyokutenho with 4 wins, so not a lot hanging on the outcome of this match. They'll both slide down the ranks, but they're high enough up the ranks not to make that amount of difference. And Akinoshima desperately there, trying to nudge Kyokutenho over the edge. So 7 wins and 8 losses for Akinoshima. 11th loss for Kyokutenho. Now Musoyama, he's got 9 wins. He needs 10 wins to get back up to Ozeki. So he needs this one. He's against Kotonowaka. They've fought 27 times previously, and Musoyama's won 17 of them. But not such a commanding lead. Both had their ups and downs through injuries in recent times, so difficult to call this one. They're both exactly 174 kilos apiece. That's 27 stone. Fighting muscle and a certain amount of fat, one has to say. But Kotonowaka's got 7 wins and Musoyama's got 9. Musoyama needs, in fact they both need the win, so it's going to be a tight, a close fought match. Musoyama powering in there, and that's it, 10 wins for Musoyama, and back up to Ozeki he'll go. Well, of course he dropped down from Ozeki because he hurt his lower back, and he certainly seems to have recovered from that this time round. 10 wins is good, even considering the injury that's still got the vestiges of. So there, Musayama locks in on the belt and then just starts moving forward. Kotonowaka not really in that. He needed that win. He had 7 wins. If he'd got that win there, he would have had 8 wins, and that would have pushed him up the ranks a bit. So Musayama back to Ozeki. Now we have Kaio and Miyabiyama, the 2 Ozekis, fighting the new Ozeki. That's Kaio, and a slightly older Ozeki, hasn't been there that long, mind you, Miyabiyama. These 2 have fought 8 times. Kaio's won 6 of them. Miyabiyama there, almost sidestep right at the start, leads with his head. Kaio grabs him and just spins him over with the Owatenagi. So 11 wins for Kaio. What a magnificent performance, considering his badly injured thumb. You can see it's well taped up there. And as the first of the upper rank wrestlers to win. On the last day he gets a little symbolic prize there. The arrows. Let's watch that one again now. Miyabiyama comes out hard and fast. Kaio watching very carefully and just moves slightly to one side. Just enough to get Miyabiyama right to the edge, and then a powerful pull forward, and that spills Miyabiyama to the ground. So Kaio there, 11 wins, 7 losses for Miyabiyama, but he'll stay at Ozeki. He's got his Kachikoshi, and now the other 2 Ozeki line up. Chio Taikai from the Kokonoe stable. That's the stable of the great Chiyonofuji, and Dejima from the now dominant Musashigawa stable. These 2 have fought many times before. The results are even, but Chio Taikai there winning with a straight Oshidashi. So that's 10 wins for Chio Taikai, and that levels him up with Dejima's score. Dejima came into this bout with 10 wins. And there's a nice bundle of money for Chio Taikai. Well, on paper they were close to start with, but Chio Taikai seemed to do that fairly easily. And now, the very last bout on the very last day, it's Akebono, the 2 grand champions, against Musashi Maru. No Takanohana in this one. Wakanohana, of course, has retired. These 2 have fought 36 times. Akebono's won 20 of them. Musashi Maru at 216 kilos. Akebono at 236. That's 37 stone versus 34 stone. So that's, by my calculations, 71 stone of fighting sumo wrestlers in this bout. Considerable amount of weight here. So how will it go? Akebono, 2 long arms coming out on Musashi Maru's chest. But no, he's going for the belt, unusually so, and he's taking him to the edge. And there, that extra weight counted. So Musashi Maru stopped from gaining the 15 straight wins that he was after, the Zensho, Yusho as it's called. Akebono gaining that last final score, 13 wins and 2 losses, but Musashi Maru with 14 wins and 1 loss. So there we go. Now we see Akebono there not going for the upper body as he normally does. Came out fairly low, looked for the belt, change of tactics there, and just lent on Musashi Maru, and Yori carried him out. So 14-1 for Musashi Maru, but he's got the Yusho, the tournament win, and the Emperor's Cup. Akebono in number 2 place with 13 wins and 2 losses. We see Kaio with 11-4, Wakano Sato with 11-4, Dejima, Chio Taikai, Musoyama, Tochinohana, all with 10 wins and 5 losses. And then all the way down to the bottom, and there Takumi Sakari, who had to drop out because of an injury, Tochi Azuma also, who dropped out because of an injury, and there's the various positions of the 40 or so wrestlers in the Makauchi division. Well, at the start of this Basho, we wondered how the Ozeki would do. Musoyama managed to get back to his Ozeki position. Miyabiyama confirmed himself in the Miyabiyama position. Kaio too, the new one. And Dejima and Chio put in a reasonable performance. And there's the supporters group doing the 3 banzai for Musashi Maru. And there it is at the end, the Yusho, 14-1 to Musashi Maru. And the Fighting Spirit Prize to Wakano Sato, that's the Kanto show. And 2 technique prizes, one to the Gino show, one to Hayate Yumi, and one to Tochi no Hana. No Shukun show this time, that's the Outstanding Performer Prize, only Fighting Spirit and Technique Prize. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll be back before very long with the next Basho. This is Sid Hoare from Tokyo. Take care, and as always, sayonara.